sharing the screen and I'll bring it back again. But anyway, like I was saying, the initial part of the Gita is very philosophical. And we'll go a quick recap today of what we did last time, but what we are going to get into today is extremely philosophical. Okay. So, and it's the most difficult part to understand of Vedanta. So if you don't understand it, you can blame Krishna Bhagwan. If you understand it, you can credit the teacher. Okay, so let me just pull it up right now. But before we go there, let's just spend some time with what we did last time. So you can see my screen now, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you remember when we said last time, we said we were at a spot where Arjun was very confused, very unhappy, very sorrowful, didn't know right from wrong, and he said, Krishna Bhagwanji, please, I am your Shishya, teach me. And then Krishna Bhagwan started teaching. He started talking. And the first one was Ashocyan Anvashochastvam Pragyavadanscha Bhashase Gata Suna Gata Sunascha Nanu Shochanti Panditaha. So he was telling Arjun, you know, he's laying out the expectation, the foundation for Gita. He's saying, for a wise person who knows himself, there is no cause for sorrow. And this is what he's telling Arjun. This is where you need to go. This is what the teaching will take you to. It will give you knowledge, self-knowledge, so that you don't have a cause for sorrow. You know how to live this life properly, rather than in a way which is confused, which gives you sorrow. Okay? Then right away he started telling why. He said in the next one, Natve Vaham Jatu Nasam. That means I was never not existent, nor you, nor these kings. Everybody was never non-existent. That means we always existed. Na chaiva na bhavishyama. That means in the future too, we will always exist. Sarve vayam atah param. So from here onwards too, we will always exist. So he was trying to address the fear that one of the reasons why we have fear is because we feel we will cease to exist. Death will come to us one day, we will cease to exist. And he was saying that is not true. And then he actually went and explained that even more. He said, Dehino asmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara. That means for the Dehi inside. So in the next one, he actually introduces this concept of Dehi. Right away in the third verse itself, he's saying that there is a Dehi which is inside your Deha. Deha is the body. Dehi is the indweller of the body. So he's right away telling him that there is a Dehi inside. Asmin means inside. So there's a Dehi inside for whom this Deha goes through Kaumaram, Yovanam, and Jara. So for this Dehi, it's not that the Dehi is going through Kaumaram, Yovanam, Jara. The Dehi is the same. The Deha is going through early, childhood, youth, and old age. So he did two things. He introduced a Dehi and created a distance between the Dehi and all the changes which are happening in the body. So we normally think, I am getting old. I am young. I am healthy. I am sick. He's trying to say, no, think of yourself as the Dehi. Then you will see that your body is old and your body is young and your body is sick. And he said, similarly, one day you will change this body. And Dehantar, meaning the next body, Prapti, when you get the next body, it will be just like you moved from childhood to adulthood. Just like those changes are happening and you are the same. When you get the new body, it will be the same thing. You'll just get a new body. Now, and this is, you can see in your life also, so much has changed. If you think about it, the last 60, 70 years, so much has changed, but something in us has never changed. That something in us which has never changed is the Dehi. We don't recognize it as such. We don't try to make a distinction between the Deha and the Dehi. But if you try, you will see that yes, there is this something which has never changed. And that is the Dehi. And that something which has never changed will never change also, even after death, is what Krishna Bhagavan is saying. So
Nitu, as we go
regarding
through
this,
this,
huh?
sorry, Nitu, as we go through this, does it ever come about as to how they came to this conclusion? How did Krishna come to this conclusion?
No,
No, they don't
no.
talk about that. Yeah, got
No,
it.
they say that we actually, there are two things they say. Number one, they say that this was a Parashaya. That means, and this is an early thing. They say it came from God. This knowledge came from God. But that's a cop-out answer kind of a thing, you know. In the beginning, they'll say this. But actually, if you think about it, these thoughts came to, apparently to rishis who were in deep meditation, who were thinking, who spent their lifetime thinking about this, and they must have got these thoughts over multiple years, multiple generations. They
Mhm.
must have got some thought, passed it on to the next group of rishis who was thinking, then the next, and the next, and they slowly developed and, refined to a state where there's no more refinement. I mean, this is
Yeah.
it.
So, Nitu, I have one more question.
Yeah.
We are still on the old lesson, but it just occurred to me.
Hmm.
So that means when this universe started,
Hmm.
it was like this God or this burst of energy of, we are all part of the same energy or atma or whatever you call it. How did it become just the energy? How did it become so knowledgeable, so full of, creating all these things? How does it happen?
So this is actually a deeper question. So we will answer it as we go along later.
Okay.
But to give you a brief thing, this is our feeling that it started with nothing and it became more and more complex. The way that Vedanta approaches it is that it was never simple and never more complex. It was always there. What happens is we go through cycles of manifestation and resolution. So whatever you see around us, it
Mm-hmm.
gets resolved one day, which we call pralay,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And but all the knowledge is all there. It never goes away. That knowledge never goes away. Then it manifests itself again. That knowledge manifests again. But we think that it's new knowledge. We think that everything that we are seeing is new, it's evolving, it's regenerating. But according to Vedanta, everything, all knowledge already exists. And that knowledge is what's called Ishwar, Bhagwan, so, or called Maya for that matter. So that knowledge always exists and it just gets manifested and then resolved, manifested, resolved. It's like a cycle. That's how they see it.
Mm-hmm.
But there'll be a lot more of that in later chapters.
Okay.
So in the third thing itself, he introduced this Dehi. And I'm not spending that much time with you guys, but if you were like, for example, in an ashram and going through this with some Swami or something, he would ask you, meditate, think about this Dehi. Who is this Dehi? Try to locate within yourself what is it that has never changed. What is it that is you? Your body has changed, your thoughts have changed, your ideas have changed, your personality has changed. Everything that you always thought was you has changed. But still, the you has not changed. Deep inside, there is a you. There's a Mita who was a Mita when she was very young, and there's a Mita today. You know that Mita has not changed, but you never think about it. So if you make an effort to try and find that Mita, or at least try to identify that Mita, you'll see what is meant by this Dehi. Okay. And then, so this is what he said in this one. He has introduced now Dehi versus Deha. He's already told you that you are not the body. Then he goes to the next one. And he says, Matra sparshastu konteya. So that means Arjun, Matra sparshastu. That means all this Shitoshna Sukha Dukha Daha. Agama Payino Anitya Tam Tam Titikshaswa Bharata. So he's saying all these things that you feel, all these emotions that you feel, heat, cold, sukh, dukh, pleasure, pain, They are the result of our sense organs interacting with sense objects. Sparsh, interaction. When that interaction happens between the sense organs and sense objects, these things happen. But their nature is agama paino. That means their nature is to come and go. Agama means to come, paino means to go. So their nature is coming and going. That's their nature. They are anitya. Anitya means not permanent, temporary. So all sukh, dukh, heat, pain, cold, all our feelings, all our emotions, if you think about them, they have a nature. And their nature is they come and they go. Everything passes. Nothing is permanent. And once you know that nothing is permanent, you will be able to have titiksha. You will be able to have tolerance. See, if we think every time something bad happens, if we think I became bad because of that, then tolerance is very difficult. Because everything affects us personally. Everything is down to me, Every anxiety is me. Every pain is me. Every pleasure is also me, so we can't be indifferent to anything. But if you know and realize that you are the Dehi, you are the indweller, and all this is happening to you outside, it's happening to the body, you're sensing it, you're able to get information about it because of sense organs which you've got, then you create a distance between yourself and all the things which are happening around you. Then it's much easier to tolerate. So once you know that you are a Dehi, you know that the Dehi is not affected. When these things are there, then it becomes easier to tolerate. Of course, to fully get there, you need to be a Jnani. But what he's saying in the next line is, Yam hi na vyathiyant yete purusham purusharbha sama dukha sukham dhiram so mrityatvaya kalpate. So he's saying, although you will reach this state only when you become a Jnani, you still need to be able to see this if you ever hope for self-knowledge. You can't have self-knowledge if all you're thinking is, I'm this body. And every time pain and something happens, you get affected. Then there's no space in your mind, in yourself, for any knowledge of this kind, for self-knowledge. That's what he's trying to say. So you have to work on both together. You have to work on knowledge and work on doing able to control a little bit, and that comes from Karam Yoga. That's why the two wings of the Gita, the Gyan Yoga and the Karam Yoga. Okay. So far, this is what he has said. So any other questions on this? Anything that you didn't follow? This itself is very complicated, And what is going to come is going to be much more complicated. So I'm just warning you guys, setting the expectation very low. But the good news is that after this, there is no really new concept anymore. It's a repetition again and again from different sides of the same thing. So that, by the end of it, it becomes a natural, you'll know it naturally. But till that happens, it's going to be a little tough.
And the fourth verse, from a Western standpoint, is like, this too shall pass.
Absolutely. But the difference between that standpoint, which we always have, that this too shall pass, and this is that, yes, this too shall pass, but there is something which shall never pass.
Yeah.
That is the Dehi.
Will not change.
Yes. Once you know that there is something that you'll never pass, it will make it much easier for you to allow the other things to pass. Because we don't know that there is something which will never pass, we are trying to cling on to all these things whose nature is to pass. And then we get dukh, because they will pass. There is no relationship in your life which will not pass. There is no wealth in your life which will not pass. There is no emotion that will not pass. There is no pleasure that will not pass. Gita says it's the nature of these things to change, to come and go. That's what it is. And it's your nature to be existent always. We don't realize either. So isme, in fact, actually, in this one, there is this word called Sukha Dukha Dhiram. Dhiram means a person who has, or Dhiram means discrimination. So, here he says, a person who is discriminative, right? So, what is discrimination? What discrimination is he talking about here? What do you think? Discriminate between what and what?
Between pleasure and pain and the fact that it's
Actually,
come and go.
discriminate between those things that pass and those things that will never pass.
Yeah.
So we don't have that discrimination because we don't know that there is a Dehi. For us, everything is Deha only. Everything is a temporary, everything that we know, for us, everything is this world. Everything we see, touch, feel, hear, that's all our life is. And all those things pass. So it's very difficult to understand that and internalize it. But if you know that there is a Dehi, and you can discriminate within yourself between that Dehi and the rest of you, then you know that the Dehi will not pass. And you know that the Dehi will not pass. And he will tell you in the next word why. Why Dehi will not pass. That's the next verse. But if you know that the Dehi will not pass, then it's easier to discriminate and say, okay, those things are passing, let them go. It's their nature. Let them go.
But
It's
feel
fine.
them. But
Huh?
feel them. But feel them.
Yeah, you feel them. There is nothing you feel
Yeah.
them because you have sense organs. And
Meaning,
it's
in other words,
that way.
when there's grief, there is grief. And when there's euphoria, there is euphoria. That'll happen.
Exactly.
However, know that it will pass.
It will pass. So
Otherwise, you become numb.
there'll be a difference to a quality of grief of a person who doesn't know that it will pass, or who thinks that this grief is the end of me. And the grief of a person who knows that this is not the end of me, this is the way things are, it will pass. Okay. Any other question? Shall we go to the next verse?
Yes.
Okay, so this one you haven't recited, so we will speak it out together. Right? It's a very cryptic verse. Swami Dayanand calls it a very cryptic and a very important verse. And in my view, this is one perfect example of a verse which, if you are not taught, you will never understand. It's like, this is like, you'll say, what the hell is he talking about? So repeat after me, okay? Na sato
Nasato
vidyate
vidyate
bhavo.
bhavo.
Na bhavo
Na bhavo
vidyate
vidyate
satah.
satah.
Ubhayor api
Ubhe or api
trisht antah
drisht antah
tvanayoho
tvanyoho
tatvadarshibhi.
tattvadashihi
Darshibhi.
dashivi.
Okay, so
How do you
I'll
know
break the
what
sandhi
gap
here.
डालना है? How do you know how to put a gap there?
Indeed.
How to separate a big word into two and say,
Because I know, so I know where it's a sandhi. So what they do in the sandhi is they take multiple words and combine them all together.
And then you know how to put a gap.
Yeah, because
there.
I'm familiar with the words, so I know I can break them up. So I'm actually going to break up. This is a lot of sandhi. So this nasato is a sandhi. It means na plus asatah. When you combine them, it becomes nasato. So na asatah, that means sat means that which is real, reality. Asat means that which is not real. बिल्लू तू तो ऑलरेडी इस तरह बैठ गई है उन्हें तो शुरू भी नहीं होया
Concentrate कर रही है. Need to
वैसे
concentrate
भी
कर रही हो.
it's also 10:30 at night for her, so poor thing.
I'm wide
Very
awake,
sorry
don't
for you.
worry. Wide awake.
Wide awake, okay. Okay, so okay, but this is anyway. Na sato, that means na satah. That means that which is na asata. Asata means not real. So na plus asata becomes nasto. Vidyate means is. Bhavah. Bhavah means being. So bhava hota hai na bhav, Ayushman bhava. So be Ayushman, be long living. Or bhav, so bhava means the being. So it says na satah of the asat, there is no being. That's what it's saying. Asatah means of the asat. Na vidyate bhavaha. That means of the asat, there is no being. Then it says, na abhavaha vidyate satah. That means of the sat, of the real, that which exists, the real, there is no non-being. Okay. अभाव अभाव होता है ना, अभाव means it's not there. So किसी चीज का अभाव है. So abhava means not, no being, lack of being. So of that which is real, there is no, of that which is not real, there is no being. Of that which is real, there is no non-being. In other words, if I put it in simpler language, it means that that which is real always exists, always has being. That which is not real never has being, never exists. And you will say, what the hell? This seems like common sense, duh. But I'll explain to you what this means, because this is a very, 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 very deep verse. Okay. Then he says, Ubhayor api. Ubhayo means for both of them. Api also. Drishtaha is seen. Antaha. Antaha means the end knowledge, the last knowledge, the end knowledge. Tvanayoho, of these two. Tattvadarshibhihi, by the Tattvadarshi. Tattvadarshibhihi means by the Tattvadarshi. So it means the Tattvadarshi is able to see the deep insight or the difference or the knowledge of both, which is Sat and which is Asat. It can make the distinction between what is Sat and what is Asat. So let's see the ultimate truth. So इसमें क्या लिखा था मैंने? If I read it here, it says, for the unreal, there is never any being. For the real, there is never any non-being. The ultimate truth of both, the real and unreal, is seen by the knowers of the truth. So Tattvadarshi means the knowers of the truth. Okay? So now I have to explain this to you, because this is it won't say anything the way it is. So for that, I'm going to shut this, and I'm going to go through a little exercise with you. Okay? Through an illustration, I want to explain this to you. So being is actually substance. I mean, Sat is substance. So let's assume, you must be having like a gold bangle, right? So Meeta, you may have a nice gold bangle, very pretty,
Very
right?
pretty.
Lots of designs and everything on it. So now tell me, in that gold bangle, what is the form and what is the substance? Is the bangle the substance? Or is gold the substance?
Gold is a substance.
Gold is substance. Bangle is a form.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And but we call it bangle just because the form that I could take that gold bangle and melt it and create an anklet. When I do that, what happens?
Gold remains the same, but the form changes.
Exactly. Yeah, Meeta, you're awesome. Yeah, you're like I think you will get this. I may be a better teacher than I thought. Yeah, so the substance remains the same, the form changes. Now, if you take this you can change something else also, make it into rings, right? It's very easy to change the form, not easy to change the substance, right? Let's say you break it up, the bangle, and make it into multiple pieces. The form is gone. Has anything happened to the substance? Did you reduce the amount of gold? No. The total amount of gold will be the same. It may be in little pieces. The substance is the substance. So that which is always changing is the form. That which never changes is the substance. That is how we have to think about it.
But in the shloka, it said that which is not real never existed. But that's not true. It exists, but it is temporary.
Right. So wait for the whole thing. Okay. When you say never existed in Vedanta, this existence has a very different meaning than how we think about it. In Vedanta, there are 3 levels of existence. So, but I don't want to short circuit. I will tell you all that, but let me just take you through this. Okay, because this is just the starting point. Okay, don't feel very happy that you understood it. so, so, so the substance is gold, never changes. The form keeps changing. Now, let me ask you another thing. If you weigh your bangle, what are you weighing? The form or the substance?
The substance.
The substance. So, what is really there? The substance or the form?
The substance.
The substance, right? Okay. Now, if you take this bangle to a Jori, you may be very fascinated by the form. You'll say, "Oh, I love this bangle. It's so pretty." In fact, actually, when you guys talk about it amongst yourselves, you're never discussing the gold. You're discussing the form of the bangle. मेरे को ये डिजाइन बड़ा अच्छा लगा है, मुझे ये बहुत अच्छा लगा है, right? So what are you focusing on? You're focusing on the form. If you take it to a Jori, do you think the Jori cares what the form is?
No, he
What
just
will the
lets
Jori
it.
see? Gold kitna hai?
Hmm.
What is Jori focused on?
Undo.
Substance.
Hmm.
So Jori is a Tattvadarshi.
What is
Understood?
that? No.
Tattvadarshi is the person who focuses on the substance.
I see. Okay.
In this particular example, Jori is the Tattvadarshi. उसमें था ना श्लोका में कि there's a Tattvadarshi. The Tattvadarshi understands the difference between the non-real and the real. So Tattvadarshi is the Jori. He understands the difference between form and substance. He knows it's the substance which really has value. I can use this substance to do many things. But we are fascinated by the form. For us, that form is what is important. Of course, gold is also important. This is just an example. So far, we've understood that there is a substance and there's a form. Form changes all the time. In fact, actually, even if you don't do anything, the form is changing. Your gold will get eroded. कुछ form में कुछ हो जाएगा, यहाँ चोट लग जाएगी, कुछ होगा. Form changes all the time. Substance never changes. So, and a Tattvadarshi will look at a gold bangle and see gold. Huh?
If the gold erodes, that means it's become less.
No, it won't get less. It will the gold is still there. It may have gone into gold dust in the atmosphere.
Okay.
But it has not changed into anything else. It's still gold.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But that's a good segue though, because my next question is going to be that only.
Yeah.
So substance is gold. Tattvadarshi sees the substance. Form always changes. Form doesn't have the existence which substance has. So the way to think about it is, can you imagine a bangle without gold or without any substance? It's like in Alice in Wonderland, there's something called a Cheshire cat. So they said the cat disappeared. She was smiling. The cat disappeared, but her smile remained, which is impossible, right? You can't have form without substance. So form, you can say form exists. The bangle exists, but bangle's existence depends upon gold. That's what it means in Vedanta to say that it doesn't exist. So to answer your question, you said that the bangle is not it's existing for a little time. But all the time its existence depends upon gold. The form cannot exist on its own. Form needs substance. Okay? So when we know these 2-3 things about form and substance always exists. Form exists, depends upon substance. Form is temporary. Substance is permanent. Right? Substance doesn't need anything else to exist. Substance can exist on its own, but a form can't exist on its own. And a Tattvadarshi is the one who sees the substance. Now, if you understood all this, now my question to you is gold really a substance? Because the reason I'm asking is because we know better. We are modern, we've learned science. We know that gold is made of protons and neutrons and electrons. Yes, you know that there's a molecule in gold. The molecule is made of atoms.
Mhm.
The atom has an electron and it has a bunch of protons and neutrons. So when you see a gold bangle, what are you actually seeing? Because because this gold is a particular arrangement of protons, neutrons, and electrons. If I was to reconfigure those same protons, neutrons, and electrons in a different way, I might get silver. I reconfigure it in a different way, I might get hydrogen gas. And I reconfigure it in a different way, I could get like platinum. I could get anything. I could get diamond. It's a question of how you configure protons, neutrons, and electrons, right?
Mhm.
So then I'm going to say gold is a form, and it's the electrons and protons and neutrons which are the substance.
Mhm.
Gold is temporary. You know how gold was created, by the way, just so you know. Uh, because if you have any interest in astronomy, you'd realize, when these big stars they collapse, they have what's called a supernova explosion. They collapse at the end of their lifetime. Our sun will also do the same. And during that time, there is so much pressure and heat generated that hydrogen and helium, which is actually the constituent of these stars, they compress and become rare elements like gold. And that gold then is everywhere in space. They reassemble into planets and they find their way around in other planets. That's how our gold came. It's stardust. It was formed in those explosions because initially there was only hydrogen and helium. And in another explosion, the gold will become something else. Even here, if you have an atomic bomb explosion, you're basically changing the element. The uranium is changing from 238 to 235, and you're
Yes.
changing elements because of that explosion.
The
So gold
chemical
is not
engineer is
permanent.
talking. The
What's
chemical
that?
engineer is talking.
No, I'm just saying it's true.
Yeah, yeah.
So gold is not a substance. Gold is a form. So
When
what
you
will
read the Gita, how do you get into all this? I mean, how much
Gita, I'm
Jesus
trying to
do you
explain it to you
do?
because the remarkable thing is that Gita knew this. Vedanta knew this without knowing about atoms and things. The conclusion that I'm going to tell you, they made without all this knowledge of science. This I'm just saying to you because it's easier to explain it. This is the way I understood it.
Mm.
If I tell you directly, you may be finding it a little harder to understand.
No, but how do you put two and two together with this goes with this
That
explanation?
is
This is
that
how
is a
you
good
Okay,
teacher.
okay. Acha, now you first listen to me first, the whole thing, okay? Before you
sorry.
interrupt me anymore with these personal remarks. Okay.
Mm.
So, see, अब no, ना ऐसे you मेरे को ऐसे ऐसे करेगी ना, then I get all
I'm
confused.
sorry.
No,
Line
no,
of
no,
thought
no,
also.
because I can now start thinking, oh, I'm so good, and I forget what I have to teach.
No, the line of thought also breaks actually.
I'm
Huh?
sorry. Yeah.
No. Thought is okay. That's okay. Mita, after this, you can please. I'll give you plenty of time to give me
Okay.
good. Okay. So now a Tattvadarshi is actually going to look at everything and say everything is actually electrons and protons and neutrons. That's what it is. My hand, gold, everything I see is nothing but a recombination of electrons, protons, and neutrons. That's the Tattva. A Tattvadarshi will be a nuclear physicist. He'll be a Tattvadarshi. He will see this. Do you get that?
Mhm.
You get that the actual substance of everything around us, everything that we see is electrons, protons, and neutrons. In fact,
Yeah.
I'll go further because people have gone further than this. Scientists have realized that even protons and neutrons are made of things called quarks.
I made up.
Quarks. Quarks. So, what is really there is quarks.
So
Mhm.
that is the basic form, basic
Yeah.
substance.
Then they found even further. Now they are hypothesizing that quarks are made out of strings. There's something called strings, something called string theory. You can look it up on Google. So they're saying everything is made out of strings. What Vedant is saying is, and this is the great insight from Vedant, without even knowing any of this, Vedant said that anything which has a form can never be the ultimate form. Anything that has a form can always be broken down into more forms. Always. You may not know how to break it down. You may not have understood that yet. But anything with a form will be always broken down into forms. So anything with a form can never be the ultimate substance because it'll just get broken down into more forms. So अभी हम
Can
सोच
I,
रहे थे.
can I interrupt you one more time?
Yeah.
You know, what would give me reassurance and consolation is when my this form changes and when your this form changes and Billu's this form changes or Tony's, that the next form that we acquire or have is somehow still interrelated. That would give me, okay, we'll still be together.
Unfortunately, as one of the scientists likes to say, Vedanta is not in the business of giving you satisfaction. It doesn't care. Okay? Vedanta is in the business of giving you truth.
Yeah.
What you have to do is to figure out why something gives you satisfaction and something else doesn't. And the problem is that you have decided this is what will give me satisfaction because you think that's what you want. I want Tony and Nittu and Kiki and everybody, all of us to be the same. That's what you want. But that's what Vedanta is really asking you to look into.
Yeah.
Is that what you really want?
Yeah.
Is that what the truth is? Right? So that's why I just want to give you knowledge, right? And help you from there. But at the end of the day, this is the personal journey we have to take.
Yeah.
I know. I'm sorry. I was little.
Cry, see?
I'm so sorry, Meeta. No, I was just trying to,
Yeah.
I was just trying to say that this is very difficult. I really I know that, but we it's not easy.
Yeah.
But the end result and what you're getting to is a good thing. I mean, I can tell you because I'm a little ahead of you. I've started this a long time back. But it's going to make you a more incisive, a better human being. It will make you more objective. It will make you more sympathetic, more giving, more everything. Because as it is, you are already, I mean, in my opinion, you are already a very objective person. But there are many people who are not, and they suffer because of that. And this just makes us more mature, ultimately. I'm sorry, Meeta. I didn't mean to be.
No, that's why I do this. No, it's, I guess everybody's feeling, right? I mean, we all want to be together.
Yeah.
In this life and next life and forever. So
Exactly. All of us. We all feel.
let's enjoy what we have right now.
Well, let's enjoy and let's understand. It's about understanding, right? Because we all have limits. We feel we are within those limits. By understanding we expand our limits.
Yeah, sure.
And the good part is, it's not understanding that's going to make you cold and ruthless. It's understanding or not loving. It's understanding that will make you more loving. You'll actually understand what love really means. Right? It's not about getting. It's about giving. That kind of thing. So anyway, so where was I? Yeah. So I was saying
Form and substance.
form and substance, right?
Springs and quarks. Oh.
Correct. So forget about those quarks and all. That was just an example. But Vedanta's insight is that anything that has form cannot be the substance. So when you think about a bangle, we are saying the bangle, gold is a substance. Then we look at gold, we say, no, gold, nahi, electrons is a substance. That nahi, no, quarks is a substance. We keep going down this path. Swamiji calls it forms within forms. All there is forms within forms. There's a form of a bangle in the form of gold, within the form of gold. Then within the form of gold, there's another form of electrons, so on and so forth. So where does this end? Is there no form? And I mean, is there no substance anywhere? The other thing you have to know is, by the way, just so you know, it's something very curious. if you take any atom, it's 99.9% empty space. That's what it is. What we think is solid is literally has been found by science to be more than 99% empty space. Anyway, that was just something which really struck me as remarkable. But anyway. So what is the form? Where does this end? So what Vedanta tells you is that actually there is a substance. That substance is not something you can see. That substance is Brahman or you, self. That is formless. Because we realize that anything which has a form cannot be a substance. So the substance has to be formless. It has to be it doesn't change. It's unchanging, eternal, because it never changes. It never non-exists, formless. That is what is the definition of Brahman. That is actually the definition of God, Ishwar, in Vedanta. So now I can see that I've lost you guys completely, which is okay.
There's no form, it has nothing, then it is nothing.
It's not nothing.
Brahman.
It's Brahman, but it doesn't have anything, then that means it's nothing.
But on the other hand, everything that you see is just a form. It's not nothing, Mita.
What is it then? What is it?
It is you. Do you have a form?
No, I don't. If you're saying I'm the inner dweller, whatever that word was,
Dehi.
Indweller.
I'm the
Yeah.
Dehi,
Deha has
then. So if
Deha
I'm the
has a
Devi,
form.
then I don't have a form. But what is that Dehi?
But
What
that's
is
you're asking the question which will make you a jnani. The answer to that question, realizing, will make you a jnani. So give it a little time, right? But
yeah.
all I can tell you is that is you. See, it's what Dehi is. If Dehi had a form, Dehi, you couldn't say that Dehi is permanent. It's not possible. Nothing which has a form can ever be permanent. It will always break. कुछ ना कुछ आएगा तोड़ देगा उसको. So if Bhagwan is saying that you are permanent, meaning you're eternal, then you can't have a form. But you'll see that everything else that you thought you were, that you can see, has a form and it's not permanent.
Yeah.
So for example, if you're thinking about something, a thought comes and goes, right? A thought in your mind, is that thought a form or substance? Form. Because it comes and goes. Form is what comes and goes. It's not permanent. So every thought comes and goes. Every emotion comes and goes. So they are all forms. The substance is in which they come and go. To which they come and go is the substance. That is the Dehi. How do you know that a thought has come and gone? How do you know? Thought is just a form. Thought comes, thought goes. How do you know that the thought has come and gone? To whom has it come and gone?
To your inside, something inside you.
To the Dehi, yeah. So to the Dehi, it's come and gone. This body, who is looking at the body and saying, "Oh, I'm too fat today. I'm looking too fat. I need to thin down." Or ye to Buddha Baba lag raha hai. My brother is a Buddha. Who is looking and saying this? To whom is this perception coming? That, oh, this body is too old.
Deha.
Dehi, right? So all of these are forms. And another name for a form in Vedanta is mithya. All of this is mithya. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means it is a form. Because it's a form, it will come and go. It's not permanent. And because it's a form, it needs a substance to exist. It can't exist on its own. Just like a bangle can't exist without gold, a form cannot exist on its own. It needs a substance to exist. And that substance is the Dehi, is the Atma, is Brahman. So Bhagwan, Brahman, Dehi, Atma, all same thing. Ishwar, same. The name for that formless one thing which unites everything else. So remember, we said, when we were saying everything in the world is made uh, out of uh, out of protons and neutrons and all that. When we said that, it gave us a glimpse to non-duality, because when we see so many different shapes, so many different things, we are able to say, no, no, they appear all different things. They all appear different, but actually what they are protons and electrons. Everything is a proton and electron combination. That's a it gives you a sense of non-duality. But when you say that everything appears different, but it's actually just that formless Dehi or that formless Atma, just one formless thing, that is actual non-duality. That's what non-duality means. It means that all these things that appear different, they have one common substance, the same substance.
Mhm.
That's why they are non-dual. And that same substance is the Dehi, is the Atma, is the God. So did I deliver on saying that it's going to be the most complicated thing you ever knew? It's
Yes.
like people cannot get the hang of it. People can study for ages and not get the hang of it, because it is very hard. It is so non-intuitive. But I promise you, once you get the hang of it, you will say, duh, what was I thinking? How could it be anything else?
Hmm.
How could it be that I never thought about a substance? And how can the substance be anything else? It's so simple. It's
And
like,
that was
that's what it is.
That's a good example.
Yeah, that is made sense.
Anyway, made sense, or we'll see.
Still overall confusing.
Okay. But, don't worry about it, because at various points in the Gita, this is going to come up and we will talk. And this is like the heart of Advaita Vedanta. This is the most complicated philosophy that has ever been created, not just in India, but I think anywhere else. This is unique. Yeah, the others also say it, like the spirituality of um, Christianity and Islam. They also say the same kind of thing, but they don't say it in such specific technical detail the way Vedanta says it.
But I think Buddhism says it almost exactly the same way. Like impermanence is a very core theme, and that's what this is. Anyway, and from what, I know.
But I mean, maybe,
Very
but
similar.
Vedanta is very elaborate. It has many, they made it into a very complex sort of structure. But this is the heart of it. And I really wonder why this is introduced so quickly, so early. But maybe they know what they're doing. Maybe they know that it's better to say it all up front and then give people time to absorb, and over time repeatedly say again and again and again. And that's when we kind of understand it properly.
So this was just one shloka.
This is one shloka. but this is the shloka. This is one shlok, but it has let's go through that shlok again. But it's not as if there are many more like this. I mean, they will be saying this next time you hear it. You will hear the same thing in a different way, but it will be the same thing. It's just keeping on hitting you with the same thing again and again and again and again and again, and then suddenly, it doesn't seem that complex anymore. But of course, there's more to the Gita than that's just. So you'll have there are things about how to live our life and things like that. That will also come. It's just that they start with this for some reason, which I don't understand. They start with this.
Complicated first.
Yeah, they start with the complicated first. I actually almost thought that maybe I should start with the later shlokas first, and then I said, you know what? Let's just go with the
This
Gita.
is the way it is.
This is the way it is. Why mess with something which has been working for so many generations? So now you understand this. So about one more thing I have to tell you. I know you're overloaded, but I have to say it. So understand whatever you can of this. When we are living our life today, when we live normally, we have two orders of reality. And I'll tell you what I mean. By that, I mean we say something exists or something doesn't exist. Everything around us, the computer I'm seeing, my table lamp, you know, cup I'm drinking from, everything, it exists. I see it, it exists. And if I was to say something imaginary, like a dream, or the example that they give in Vedanta is खरगोश के सिर पे सींग. You know, you don't have rabbits don't have horns, or the son of a barren lady, which is not possible. These kind of things never exist. So you have a very clear thing. There's something which exists, something that doesn't exist. Right? That's how we think. To understand Vedanta, you have to have three levels of um, reality. In Vedanta, that which doesn't exist at all is the same as in ordinary life, which is Sir Khargosh ke sir pe seeing and the son of a barren lady, for example. They never exist. That is fine. That's called tucham, just by the way, but that doesn't exist. But what really exists in Vedanta is called Satyam, which is Brahman. We say Satyam Mithya. So Satyam means Brahman, Ishwar, myself, Dehi. This is something that really exists according to Vedanta because it never does not exist. It's Sat. This Sat. You see this here? Sat na abhavo vidyate Sat. That means never is there an abhava of Sat. It never happens that this Sat never exists. It always exists. That's called Sat. In between the Sat and the Tucham, which doesn't exist, there is the rest of the world. It's called Mithya. Everything that we think in our normal course of life, we say exists. Vedanta says it doesn't really exist because its existence is dependent upon substance called Sat. That's why it calls it Mithya. That means it exists conditionally. The corollary of this is that everything that you can see, touch, hear, feel, smell, it's all Mithya. All Mithya. Because our senses can only recognize forms. We can't use our sense to recognize Satyam. So in Vedanta, there are three levels of reality: Satyam, Mithya, and Tucham, or that which doesn't exist at all. The difference between a Jnani and a non-Jnani is that when the Jnani sees, Jnani is a Tattvadarshi. When he sees something, he sees Brahman. Just like a Jori, when he sees a bangle, he sees gold. He's a Tattvadarshi, right? He knows the substance. When you see something and you begin to see the substance, that unchanging substance, and you understand it, then you are a Jnani, because then you will know, you will be able to take the world in the right place, that the world is going to come and go. It's the Dehi which will exist, which exists. Till we know this and understand this and internalize this, we will never be able to relate to the world the way a Jnani relates to the world. Which is?
Dehi have any feelings?
No. Dehi doesn't have feelings. Dehi can experience the feelings, but the Dehi itself doesn't have any. Dehi is just a kora kagas, is a blank slate. But the only thing that Dehi has is a feeling of fullness, completeness. See, this is also another thing we have to understand, because we think that happiness is about feelings. If you really think about it, I'm going all over the place in a very difficult subject, but just to give you an answer. If you really think about it, when you are really enjoying something, let's say you're enjoying music, greatly enjoying music, and you're completely in it, actually you have no feeling. You just have a feeling of oneness with the music. You have a feeling of completeness. Nothing, the feeling that you have is nothing is lacking. If you're with your loved one and you're just feeling so much in love. At that moment, all you feel really is nothing is lacking. I could die right now. Nothing is lacking. That's the feeling. That is what Dehi is. Nothing is lacking. So a Jnani's feeling is nothing is lacking. Everything is perfect. Nothing needs to change. I don't need to change anything around me because I am the Dehi and the Dehi is complete. No condition, no conditionality needed. Nothing is lacking. That's the feeling. That's called Ananda. That's why Dehi or Atma is called Satchit Ananda.
So would you say Dehi is the same as what you told us was the inner body or the inner soul or the subtle
Yeah.
body?
The
No,
Atma.
I think Dehi is the same as Atma. So what I told you, right? That
Beyond the
there is,
subtle body.
I told you there's the physical body,
Physical
then a
body
subtle
and the
body, then
subtle
the
body
Atma.
is Atma.
Yeah. So
So
the subtle body is your feelings. That's why
yeah.
I asked you, when you have thoughts and feelings, they are also forms. It's also a body. So when you have thoughts going by, when you have feelings going by, they come and they go, they come and they go. That's all in the subtle body. You can't see anything when you're having a feeling, you can't see it in your hands and you can't touch it. It's inside you, but it's still a form. So it's happening in the subtle body. When you have, when you're walking, doing things, you can be using your physical body. But the Dehi is the inner core, which is the Atma. That's why it's formless. If it is formless, there cannot be multiple, there has to be only one. Anyway, I think this is a lot for today.
You
We
need
will
to tell me
visit this
one thing.
again and
One
again.
thing.
Huh?
एक चीज बताओ कि see when you say that the Dehi feels that you're complete, there is nothing lacking, then what about all the suffering that the Dehi is also seeing around? Suffering, people are dying, people are getting disease, people are in pain, there are beggars. What about that? Or the whole world around? So how does the Dehi interpret that? Because Dehi is, you're saying when you are just seeing that you're complete and there's nothing which affecting you, then what about the surroundings?
So, I think the way to think about it is, let's forget about the Dehi for now, for a minute. Let's say you, Billu, you are looking at pain around you, right? What would you like to do? You'd like to help out, right?
Hmm.
You'd like to do something for them.
To reduce
Is
the
it
pain.
right? To do something for them, you have to be active. You have to be motivated to help. You have to be alert, right? Isn't that better than seeing all the pain around you and getting depressed? Today, when I see pain around me, I start feeling that pain. I start getting depressed. Not, I don't shit all for it. I'll be sitting on my table doing nothing. I'm just feeling, oh, कितना बुरा हो रहा है, ये भी बुरा हो रहा है, उसको ये हो गया, उसको ये हो गया. That's the normal me because I'm consumed in the emotion. If I know myself and I know that that pain is bad, I don't want the other person to suffer, but I am not, that's not going to finish me, right? I would actually go out and help that person and say, okay, my job is just to help the person. I can't do anything about the pain. That person is in front of me. Let me help the best I can. If I'm happy, I'll be helpful. If I'm sad and depressed, I will only make that other person more sad and depressed. So how you react, when you know yourself, you react to the world differently. You become more compassionate and you do something about the world as opposed to, just chatting amongst people and saying, ye kitna bura hua. That also we can do, but what's the point? So anyway, this is simple, it's sort of a on the surface answer, but I just wanted to tell you that feeling completeness in yourself doesn't mean that you are not available to others and doesn't mean that you are incapable of loving. In fact, it is just the opposite. You are then capable of loving properly because you will actually understand the other person. If you're feeling incomplete in yourself, you will never be able to understand your other person. Like, I can see this in my relationship with Kavita also, in my husband, wife, all of us. If we are all wanting something, our focus is on me. Like, I'm not getting what I want from this relationship, rather than what is that other person wanting. You can only understand what the other person wants once you are yourself a little, at least somewhat complete. You're saying, okay, I can put my things aside. I'm okay. Let me concentrate on the other person. That's only possible when you have completeness.
Difficult, very difficult to
Okay.
difficult time. It is difficult to reach that stage.
Again, the good thanks to you bringing it up. You don't have to reach any stage. Don't think like that.
No, I'm just saying, to be able to even start thinking like that, you have to really, really think about it.
Yes, all you need to do is think about it. All you need to do is do what's called Shravanam. You have to understand what Gita is saying. You have to think about it and try to realize it best you can without making yourself feel guilty that, oh, I can't do this, or putting pressure on yourself, because those will only they'll make things difficult. So in a happy frame of mind, being a happy person, listen to what the Gita is saying, try to absorb what you can. In your day-to-day life, see whether you can make connections. Okay, this is what Gita was saying when in the class. This is what is actually happening. I can see the connection. Just take your time and just do that. That is all. Once you do that, then Gita works on its own to change you. Okay, I'm going to shut this thing down. Okay, अब मैं थक गया हूँ. I know, like talking about this stuff. I don't know about you guys.
So how much time do you take to prepare this? My God, that's really a lot to do. Not to make us dunce people understand. Seriously.
But it is very powerful.
I will shut the sharing thing down.
I
Then
have
you can please,
never
all of you
heard
can
this
shower me with. Sorry, what are you saying?
I mean, this
You
explanation,
recording band kar
the
do.
first time I'm hearing this explanation.
Yeah,
his examples are very exemplary.
No, they are not mine. All of
No.
this is Vedant. Okay? All of
No,
this
but the
is.
examples that you take to make the other person understand the theory is very
it's all
appropriate.
part of the teaching methodology. It's a
But
parampara.
has Swamiji also gave these examples? No.
Similar examples, very similar examples. Gold bangle is a very common example, which is always there, right?
Yeah.
So
The scorpion
that's
and
why.
the sting was a common example.
Which one?
The scorpion and the sting.
Scorpion and the sting was a common example. Yeah. I've only maybe electrons and neutrons was my example, but I don't know whether that actually simplified.
Engineer
That
you
is
who
the way
was
I
doing
thought
it.
about it.
The engineer
But
and
I
you
didn't
was doing it.
understand that there is most of the things, 99% is empty space. There can't be empty space.
that was so shocking to me.
Ask
If you
Tony
actually,
Bhai, he's a chemical engineer.
no, it's true. An atom is 99.9%
There
empty
can
space.
be a vacuum, right? There is
I'll tell
no
you, Mita. See, if the example that they give to understand an atom is you're sitting in a room. Imagine that room is an atom. You made it so big. The nucleus of the atom is a grain of sand that you can put in the middle of the room. And the electron is buzzing about on the boundary of the room, in the walls, in the ceiling. That is an atom. So the grain of sand is the compared to the whole room, that is the matter in the atom. See, the reason why I love this, No, because for me, what is most exciting is that modern science is telling us things which are very similar, not similar exactly. Yeah, but they are saying that what you see, the reality that you see, is not exactly what it is. That we if you delve deeper into things, they are very strange. Things are very strange. Like, who could have imagined that if you start moving fast, time starts slowing down for you? This is proven now. You start moving very fast, time will slow down for you compared to a person who is at rest.
क्या मतलब? When you're moving like
अगर तू बैठी हुई है, मैं जा रहा हूँ बड़ी तेज, ठीक है? Then if I'm going very fast, you'll see my watch and you were able to see my watch. तेरे को लगेगा मेरी वॉच धीरे चल रही है तेरे से. मैं घूम के वापस आ जाऊंगा. I would be much younger. For me, 10 years would have elapsed, and for you, 20 would have elapsed. If I go in a rocket very fast and then come back to you, तब तू एक्चुअली बुढ़ी बाबी बन जाएगी और मैं बुढ़ा बाबा नहीं होऊंगा. I would be young. Only 10 years would have elapsed for me and 20 for you, just as an example.
When you
This is a
move
proven
fast,
fact. This is not something that you don't need any.
when you move fast, the time moves slow.
Yes.
I have to know this
That's what I'm trying to
concept.
say.
This is another concept which I don't know about at all.
So when you move fast, you age slower.
Beat the time.
Yeah, you
Well,
beat the.
if I move fast and go somewhere and come back to you, so I start from the same spot, you and me. I go very fast, come back very fast. I would have aged less than you would have aged. I would have aged 10 years and you would have aged 20. Literally. It's not a trick or anything. Actually, that would have happened because time would have moved slower for me.
Oh my gosh.
But I don't. Okay, let me just shut this thing off.
ये किस चीज का concept है? ये
It's
physics
called general theory of relativity.
Oh God, my God.
Okay, it's just physics. It's any schoolboy physics. Ask
Let me ask my husband about this.
yeah, or just Google it now. Don't just Google it and say Google general theory of
But
relativity.
this is not even new. This
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
like old
this
physics.
came
This
up
is
in
like Einstein
1925. 1925 की theory.
Yeah.
Me no aware of it.
So, the reason
I
I'm saying
didn't.
is,
I actually don't know how I passed my physics to reach my pre-med.
Oh.
okay, I'm just going to shut the record.